Welcome to the Life Links Podcast, a Latina podcast for the modern Cultura. I'm your host, Consuelo Crosby, Peruana, California native, structural engineer, mother, and your amiga for all things Latina. Here we honor the women who navigate multiple cultures, both aquí and allá, and somewhere in between, providing that safe place for you to speak your truth, celebrate la cultura, and find belonging in this comunidad. Join us every Wednesday on your favorite streaming platform to listen to your new amigas as they share their journeys of lessons learned, barriers they overcome, and the joys of living life with pure authenticity. Encuentras your voice and discover the life meant for you. Hola chicas, bienvenidos, ¿cómo estás? Hope a roaring fantastic is coming back at me across the airwaves. Welcome to the Lifelings Podcast. Soy Consuelo here, bringing you the insights and common threads of the Latina comunidad that we don't hear anywhere else, but here. This is where we tell our genuine stories, empower, and gain the confidence that we are worthy as our authentic selves by speaking our truth. So grateful to have you here to benefit from the beautiful stories of our guests and the insights that gather us together for support and solidarity. For any new listeners out there, welcome. Grateful to have you join us. Glad you're here to add to the comunidad, and I hope this podcast makes you feel at home. If only I could be serving you all of my awesome ceviche, my soul would be full. The in-person needs to happen. One day, it's going to happen. For all of our longtime listeners, thank you so much for embracing my big birthday celebration. That was a biggie. I put the stake in the ground. I had that celebration framed for a long time. And for sending me off with so much happiness and welcoming me home today. And it's this kind of love that subconsciously had me yearning to go to Colombia. I couldn't explain it when people asked me why. Why Colombia? I made some comments about wanting to learn their true story, knowing and growing up with the conflict that we caused in Colombia. I made some comments about wanting to learn their true story, not the one we learned in the American media, and then pure curiosity. But really, I just had some innate, soulful feeling that I was meant to be there. I was meant to be there at a moment in my life when I was putting a stake in the ground and declaring, manifesting the path that I was creating to go forward from here on out. It's not going to change. I know what I want. But even so, as I started planning this revelry earlier this year, those, air quotes, strange, no, they're not strange, yet understood things started happening. Suddenly, women from Colombia started entering my life, like Melissa Sandoval of Intuición Café and Viviana Heredado of Viviana Luxury Candles. And they both spoke of the spirituality and compassion of their native country. Their pride is still pulsing so close to the surface, it's infectious. And for as much as I believed it when I heard it from them, nothing prepared me for their truth. It was the most I had ever felt the universe validating me for my determination and persistence to follow my soul. Listen to what was being told to me, regardless of how difficult it made my life. You know what I'm talking about. That depth of our cultura that speaks to us, and if we are living our true selves, we hear it. It guides us to places we would never consider going, way outside our comfort zone, and yet we know it's where we're supposed to be. the veil between here and there gets very thin, and the two become one at any moment. I felt it all the time when we were in Colombia. From the gregarious costeñas of Cartagena and the coast to the entrepreneurial países of Medellin and the valleys, there's a spirituality that shone brightly in the eyes of every person, making them a completely different human than we experience here in the US. It's that spirituality that defines our cultura, that compels us to really help each other, to embrace each other in sisterhood rather than competition. And most of the time, we love this. We love engaging with our comunidad. We love breaking into movement and dance to free ourselves. We love those deep conversations over luscious food. But how many times have you asked yourself, why do I feel so fried? Why am I so burned out? Why don't I feel like going out and enjoying life? We just declare ourselves introverts and stay in our own spaces. Honestly, it's not you, amiga. It's not you. You are the gem that has been mined out of its origin and stands alone out from the rest. And you shine in your brilliance. You put out light and energy to charge your space. But that action, that energy that comes pouring out of us in celebration of who we are, often finds no place to be here in America. Unless we are totally immersed in a community 24/7, the DNA that pulses in us doesn't find its party. How many times have you started dancing to a song only to look around and see everyone else standing still, as though you're the only one hearing it? Like, what if everyone was dancing to the song? What if you were one in the entire stadium of the Karol G concert? Would you stop? No, there's the answer. It's not you. It's the effect of being separated from our cultura. It's the disruption of our DNA being in a place that it doesn't flourish alone. And all that energy, all that enthusiasm and happiness coming from you is wasted. It flows into vessels with holes that never get filled. And those empty vessels can't pour back to you any of the goodness and joy that they received. They're empty. And it's you that takes the hit. But that's not how it feels when you go back to a country of our cultura. And it doesn't have to be the one of your origins. Just a place where people still live their daily lives in joy and a lifestyle that places people and relationships first. A place to refuel your soul because the vessels are full. They are living the life they want to live, not the life defined by someone else's standards. And they are pouring their love and their goodness into you. That's the renewal I found in Colombia, specifically along the coast of Cartagena and inland in the lushness of Medellin and Antioquia, where every person greets you with a smile. Even passing in the street, and they look you in the eye, smile and say, "Hola, buenos días, ¿cómo estás?" And they stop. They stop to listen to your response. I was shocked the first time. Like, should I know this person? They actually want to know how you genuinely are feeling. And when you return the query, when you ask, ¿Cómo estás? How are you? They respond with gracias. Thank you for asking. From the merchants, to the vendors, to the executives, to the servers, everyone places priority on greeting you with grace and cariño. And you know what happens? Suddenly, you begin to feel seen, wanted, understood. Your soul refuels, your body relaxes, your pains dissipate. Because it's not you that created those pains and emptiness. It's the lack of our cultura that our soul needs to thrive on. If it's not around us, if it's not in our everyday, how could it possibly be fueled? So instead of changing ourselves to fit in, instead of assimilating by acting in ways that are comfortable for others, let's create the cultura for each other, a modern cultura that understands the pressures of operating in this society, but at the same time, doesn't make that a priority. A cultura that seeks out others like us to revel in the mutual joy, rather than stay alone in our space to save our energy. A cultura that cares for each other, reaches out to them in the most simple spaces to ensure they are okay, rather than focus just on ourselves. In today's world, we talk about building boundaries and keeping people at distance as a method of self-care and mental wellness. But that rings true in a society of takers, of empty, broken vessels. If people were to focus on their joy, ramp up their energy to greet each other with a smile, and hola, and ¿cómo estás? And wait for an answer, would you really want to build a wall around yourself? Or would you want that love and cariño to flow freely over you, like a river undulating all around you? The answer to keeping your energy isn't to dam your space in order to save what energy you have left. The answer lies in nurturing our surroundings to create enough energy to flow freely in all directions, so it reaches you openly, without having to go towards it, without having to find the source, without having to wait until enough has nurtured you, but that this energy is free flowing, in force, to everyone. In that same happiness of joy and giving, I'm going to ask you to lean in now, to celebrate and give that return to the amazing chicas that made this birthday revelry the best ever, the best in my life. You have listened and learned from them on this podcast, so they're not strangers to you, but this will certainly show you yet another level of their graciousness. First off, big abrazos to Melissa Sandoval of Intuición Café Coffee Company, loving and very proud native of Medellin, the heart of the coffee culture in Colombia. Thanks to her for ensuring I hit all the gorgeous sites in her home city and arranging a really special tour of the small batch coffee finca that she sources her coffee from. I brought her mug with me through the whole trip for 3 weeks to savor the real deal cafecito in every location I was at, and using that taza that was already brimming with love. Mil gracias for everything, Melissa. I know firsthand why you are filled with such spiritual beauty and that intuition. That's another story that's coming on a future podcast because, wow, what happened in Antioquia, in Jardín? The witchy powers. My husband was finally witness to what actually goes down. And some much needed love and gratitude to the amazing chicas who sent me a literal birthday singing telegram while I was in Colombia on my literal birthday, my big 6-0. Now, this Scorpio chick was shocked, stunned, silenced. And then an ocean full of tears followed. I mean, bawling tears. When I received the epic reel of wishes, and that takes a lot. Because we Scorpio mujeres, we're all that they say, except the jealousy. Seriously, what do we have to be jealous about? So if you missed the reel, it is there. It's pinned up on our Lifelinks podcast Instagram profile with the cover of me in my quasi-birthday suit. And I tell you, you ladies have me believing that I am seen for the first time in my 60 years. I feel seen for who I am. And that had me crying so hard that I got a migraine. On the Isla Baru in this stunning, you will see it in the Instagram pics, stunning eco lodge, infinity pool looking out over the Caribbean. But it was purely unloading, unburdening all the heaviness that I was carrying, listening to you sing to me. So I'm really asking all you listeners to take a moment and to give back, to support, to spread the love towards all the ladies that are not only on the show, but specifically on that reel, because they have supercharged me, and everything you will be coming forward out of this podcast is going to be stratospheric because of these ladies. And so a shout out, we should always give our shout outs to Anna and Sandy of Two Peacocks Travel, who started off that epic reel singing. You soul sisters, I'm here for you. When you're ready to create the Colombia trip for your beautiful Latina travelers who you lead out into the world, call me, girls. I'm here. Violeta, girl, we are meeting up again in a more epic place than our home state. And we will ask Flavia Cornejo of Latina Traveler, her Instagram profile, where to go, and have her join us to share her knowledge on how to navigate this world solo, where you will realize that everything Valeria Allo declares in her book, Uncolonized Latinas, and that she shared on our podcast, everything she says is truth, and definitely something we witnessed along the coast of Colombia, where Melissa Polanco of Ring of Color Beauty brand, girl, I wish I had taken the time to dive into those deep hues you offer, and all that energy that you sent back, I'm going to bounce it right back to you. I am always here for you. And Yasmin Ramirez, I am so jelly that you have been enjoying this beautiful country for so long. And I'm sure your abuelita, Ita, could have added some chapters to your beautiful memoir, Ándale Prieta, had she been given the chance. But you can help me describe all the unique fruits of Colombia, like lulo and granadilla, which is my personal fave, to Stephanie de la Cruz of De La Creamery Ice Cream, so that she can add her Mexican-inspired flavors to share the love with Latinas worldwide. And who would I be were it not for mis hijas, the fuel to my fiery soul and the reason I fought for so long to clear a path for all Latinas to be empowered, celebrated, and encouraged to live their authenticity out loud, because it is your superpower. Abrazos, besitos. Now let's go celebrate for reals. Coming to you next week, the unforeseen, unplanned, it just happened because we had ourselves out there authentically. We felt the energy towards each other. I have this spectacular interview with Angelica of Medellin. Her story, it will pull at your heartstrings. It will have so many of us nodding our heads and saying, yes, it's really difficult to be in this cultura when you're trying to be your authentic self in this modern world. So much can still be shut down and shamed and guilted. And that's why we have this podcast, to tell these stories, to open minds, to find the comunidad that understands what you're going through and embraces you for who you are. So look for us next week with Angelica and scroll through our Instagram posts and stories because I will finally unload all my pictures that you'll see of the beautiful country of Colombia, of Panama, of the products I brought with me. Open your souls, ladies. Let the energy flow. Encuentras your voice and step into your truth, ladies. Ciao! Really appreciate the time you take to rate and review the podcast. Get the backstory and what you've heard here today and reach out on our website at lifelinks.com. That's LNXX. Because it's about time, it's about us. Stay in the groove on our social media at Lifelinks and get ready to make your move, ladies. Viva!